and welcome to Conversations with Candidates. My name is Bruce Sampson, and I'll be your host. This programming is made possible by the Washington Parish Democratic Executive Committee and the Washington Parish NAACP. The candidate that we'll be talking to today is running for Bogalusa City Judge, and he is the current sitting judge, Robert Black. The list of questions that I'll be asking our candidate have been provided by the sponsors. And so without further ado, Judge Black, welcome, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today.
Thank you for the opportunity, Bruce.
My pleasure. So we just have a few questions for you, and so we might as well just jump right into it if you're okay with that.
Sure.
Alrighty. So question number one, what is your general judicial philosophy?
Well, I guess it would depend on what type of law that I'm judging, whether it's a criminal or civil case. But I assume that this question is more directed to the criminal aspect of what I do over there at the city court. And of course, as it relates to the judging of criminal behavior, my ultimate objective is to improve the lives of the person that appears in front of me, provide assistance and services where I know they may be available that could help the defendant. And of course, to impose such a sentence where hopefully he doesn't become or she doesn't become a repeat offender. But overall, my objective is to improve their lives going forward.
Great. Okay. Do you feel that judges have an obligation to improve public understanding of the courts? And if so, how should they carry out that obligation?
Yeah, the courts do have an obligation to do that. It's an important function that all judges should strive for. The best way to do it, and which has been my philosophy over the years, is in public and at gatherings where I've addressed groups of people. I've always encouraged people to come to court and observe the process. Now, that has to be done in adult court. Juvenile proceedings, of course, confidential and closed to the public. But the adult misdemeanor section that I handle every Monday, the public is welcome to come. And I've always encouraged that casually as I work my way through the community and at the forums where I've addressed groups of people interested in the court system. But the best way to handle it is to get people to come and see and observe for themselves. So that's what I've been doing for years now, and I will continue to do that. So the answer to the question is we have an important obligation to promote public involvement and public awareness, particularly as it relates to the operation of the criminal justice system.
Okay. Now, if you've observed a party in your courtroom being poorly represented by an unprepared or ineffective lawyer, how do you handle that situation?
Well, if typically we don't get many defendants appearing in court with private counsel in criminal proceedings, we don't see much of that for the most part. All of the defendants that appear in court are represented by the public defender's office. So fortunately, the public defender we have assigned to our court is very good. His name is Victor Pappy. He's a seasoned lawyer, and I think he effectively represents his clients. The only deficiency with any public defender situation is that, they don't maybe know everything about the case that they should, because there's not enough time for them to visit with all of the defendants that they're appointed to represent. And then a lot of times the defendants themselves don't even take advantage of the opportunity to go visit with the public defender before they appear in court. So those are some shortcomings with the entire system, but 99 out of 100 appear there are usually utilizing the services of the public defender. Seldom do I see in our misdemeanor court there many people hire private counsel. When they do hire private counsel, as a general rule, most of them are prepared. But on the occasion that maybe they've hired private counsel and they're not effective counsel, then I'll take my time and maybe ask some questions to kind of enlighten everybody there in the courtroom as to important facts or circumstances that I think need to be up on the table for everybody to take into account. But as a general rule, like I said, in the criminal section, the public defender is appointed essentially every time. And currently, we're fortunate to have a very good one in Victor Pappy.
What factors are considered in granting and setting bail amounts for defendants?
Well, of course, the number one factor, priority one, is the nature of the charges. Whether the charge involves battery involving domestic violence, DWI, the more serious offenses. So it's the nature of the charge itself is the primary factor. And then from there, with some understanding as to the probable cause leading up to the arrest, you can take into factors as to what may have brought about this behavior. So you can determine whether there are any issues, family issues, and the like that need to be taken into account. And then, of course, the third factor is, are they a continued danger to the public? Or is there a danger to the public if they were to have a low bail or were released on their own recognizance? So, first priority, again, the nature of the charge. Second priority, whatever facts and circumstances I'm able to gather from the probable cause that led up to their arrest. And then the third factor is, should they be released on their own recognizance? What type of continued danger, if any, would they represent to the community or to other members of their family?
What alternatives have you used or considered besides sending juveniles to Florida Parish?
Well, one thing I want to make clear that, it's been suggested that too many children are going to Florida parishes. Well, I'll agree with the too many, but it's not because they're being sent there on a wholesale basis with a broad stroke. I mean, people should know, and the people that work in the court system do know, and the police department knows that I don't just quickly send some child to Florida parishes upon their initial arrest. Each case is decided on its own merits. When I get a call from a policeman who's made an arrest of a juvenile, I ask lots and lots of questions, sometimes to the aggravation of the police department, because I'm always asking them, well, can you tell me about any history of arrest to know if this child has been in the system, before. So there are a number of factors there. And typically, if they're not typically, I can tell you, if the arrest happens to take place on a school campus, then I'll make the policeman go to the guidance office, to the principal's office, and go ahead and give me a background on the child's involvement at school, both academically and whether or not there's been, trouble, and there's been, reason that the child has been punished there at the school system. So, when it's at school, I have the benefit of just making the policeman take the time to go pull the records. And to me, that tells a lot about the child, because the people at school see these children more often than I do. And I think having the benefit of those records are very helpful in determining whether or not this child goes to Florida parishes or not upon their arrest. So I take a lot of time to learn as much as I can before I make the decision to send a child to Florida parishes. So I just want to reassure the public that I'm not just wholesale sending kids. It's done on a case-by-case basis, and each case is different, and each case has its own merits, and I consider a number of factors, and I gather as much information as possible. So I would say that on half of the calls I get for arrest of a juveniles, I would say half don't go, but it wouldn't surprise me if half, maybe a little less than half, do go, but it's on an individual basis. So I take my time to learn as much as I can before making that decision. And of course, I know that's before they enter into the court system. But to me, it's an important decision to make whether you're going to send somebody to Florida parishes at the first instance. But I take my time to make sure that I'm doing what's in the best interest of the child.
What do you believe are the causes of the high rates of minority incarceration?
Well, it's a problem. It seems as though, and it's not just in the minority community. It's in all communities. The basic problem I've seen is lack of proper parenting. I know it's easy for me to say it, and I wish I had an easy solution for it. It's been a difficult concept, not only with our court, but all the courts, and that deal particularly with the juvenile problems. But parenting, I think, is a large concern. I've always reached out to the churches. I've reached out to people to come provide mentoring services to the court, like the men's club here in town. They provide mentors that come to court and observe. So, for the most part, I think the parenting is the largest factor. Not every child has the benefit of the parenting that you and I benefited from. So, to the extent that to whether that's a minority problem or you want to describe it as such, I don't know. Poverty, of course, plays a role in it. But I would say parenting and poverty are the biggest contributions to the minorities having their incarceration problems. But it applies beyond race. That applies to all races. It's just more obvious when it maybe relates to the minority community.
What are your views on whether the court as a whole deals effectively with racial and gender bias?
Well, I can't speak for other courts, but I can speak for myself. There's no bias, never has been. That's not me. I wasn't raised that way. And I think people that know me, I don't think I know people that know me. No such bias exists with me. So that's the way I was raised, and I'm very proud of that. And so that's just a total non-issue in my court.
Well, those are the questions I have. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that you'd like the voters to hear?
No, other than, I love my job. I love my work. I enjoy going to work. I enjoy trying to make people's lives better. Again, that's always been priority one with me. I'm not there. I don't consider myself there just to judge. My biggest obligation is to make sure that whatever I do, that when it's all said and done, I've done something to improve their lives going forward. So that remains my primary objective, always will be. So I enjoy my work, would love to continue it. This will be my last term, and I feel that I've done a good job, and I would like to continue to serve because it is a matter of public service. It's not a matter of a check or a title or anything else. It's a matter of loving your job and doing it well. So I'd like to continue what I've tried to do here over the years and go forward if that's what the voters see fit.
Again, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to be here with us today, Judge. All the best to you.
Well, again, I appreciate the opportunity, and let's go back to this one point. Please don't listen to what you hear on the streets, particularly during campaign times and elections time. You hear all kinds of stuff out there, but don't base it upon what you may hear on the street. If you don't have an opportunity to come to court and observe for yourself, which is the best way to learn what's going on. At least reach out to people who've worked with the court system, whether it be court personnel, whether it be police, or anyone that's been involved in our court system. So if you would, I'd ask for the people to make an effort there to ask around, see what they think about the operations of the city court and how this judge is doing his job. And I'm good with that vote, as long as people educate themselves and just rather than simply rely on street talk.
Thank you so much, Judge.
All right. Good to see you, Bruce. Thank you.